Congratulations to the entire Spruce Root team. And thank you, Wells Fargo, for sponsoring the Native Awards and providing scholarships for hundreds of Native CDFI practitioners to attend this conference. It's with great pleasure that I introduce the 2021 Native CDFI Catalyst Award, and I will get to this year's awardee shortly. But let me first take a minute to talk about this wonderful awards program. The Native CDFI Awards shine a spotlight on Native CDFIs who are working hard to create economic growth in Native American, Native Alaskan, and Native Hawaiian communities. There are more than 70 Native CDFIs. These tenacious and nimble financial institutions are led by tribal members with a deep knowledge of tribal history and a determination to create opportunity and self-sovereignty in Indian country. I want to give a shout out to OWISTA and to the Native CDFI Network. Both of these groups provide resources and amplify the voices of individual Native CDFIs and the entire Native CDFI industry. OFN is so proud of our partnership with OWISTA and the Native CDFI Network and of our work together to finance justice and change for Indigenous communities. Now, it is my honor to introduce the recipient of the 2021 Native CDFI Catalyst Award. The award is a $100,000 grant for one Native CDFI, offering a strategy with great potential. This year, the Native Catalyst Award goes to the Northwest Native Development Fund in Cooley Dam, Washington. The lack of housing is a serious issue on or near Indian reservations. When and where available homes exist, the structures are often very old, cheaply constructed, and in need of rehabilitation. This lack of quality, safe, and energy-efficient housing makes it hard to attract people to towns and reservations. Now, the Northwest Native Development Fund has committed to addressing the severe lack of housing stock in and around Colville Reservation by rehabilitating existing houses and constructing new homes. The CDFI will leverage its $100,000 Catalyst Award to create a minimum of 10 new homes at the expected sale price of between $190,000 and $250,000 each. The award will enable the Northwest Native Development Fund to fund with matching funds the management and construction of one home. Then with the proceeds from the sale of this home, the CDFI will build or rehab another home, and so on, creating a self-funding, replicable process that will mean more places for people to call home. And another beautiful component of this strategy is that the CDFI expects to solar power each home to offset the exorbitant cost of electricity on the reservation. So now, without further ado, I want to warmly introduce Ted Piccolo of the Northwest Native Development Fund to tell you more.
Tots halap, inimwas, Ted Piccolo, and Quitsiyuyu. Good afternoon, I'm Ted Piccolo, and thank you. Thank you from the Colville Indian Reservation in Washington State's Upper Plateau region. Quitsiyuyu, thank you from all the staff and board members of the Northwest Native Development Fund, and thank you from the home of a young family who was able to purchase their first home built by the Northwest Native Development Fund. Quitsiyuyu from the landing site of a third-generation Native logger who was able to purchase his logging equipment from the Nndf. And thank you from the Turtle Mountain Chippewa in Montana, who was able to buy his boutique motel and then another hospitality property with help from the Little Loan Fund that could. Quitsiyuyu, and thank you. The list could go on, and it's a list of people, not an organization or organizations, but of people. Our people who have been occupying the Pacific Northwest for thousands of years, and now, with the help of the Northwest Native Development Fund and other CDFIs like some of you here, their story is able to be told, and they have a voice to be able to say, Quitsiyuyu, or thank you themselves. I am the founding executive director of the Northwest Native Development Fund and have the distinct pleasure and honor of accepting this award on behalf of the Nndf. I want to individually thank OWISTA, OFN, and Wells Fargo for recognizing the NNDF for the 2021 Native Catalyst Award. Thank you for all your foresight and patience in putting this event and award together year after year. And we know that's a heavy lift, and yet you all pull it off. I would be remiss if I did not also recognize the staff of the NNDF. A lot is asked of them, and they always deliver. I'm blessed to have all of them working with me, and our community also is blessed to have their talents in service here. I also want to thank my amazing board of directors who are on the one hand steadfast and steady, yet on the other bold and challenging. It has been a perfect storm of great leadership and great personnel for the last 10 years. And I really think it shows. And the NNDF owes it all to folks like them. Now, the Nimipu word for story is titwatit. And our story, the Nndf Story, began with a focus on small business finance and support. And for the last 10 plus years, we have maintained a laser-like focus on helping Native entrepreneurs and through financing and education and to help start, build, and grow their businesses. Then a few years ago, we began to get more and more calls regarding housing. Not necessarily low-income housing, but plain old market rate housing that actually matched the incomes of our region. You see, the region where we live is surrounded by lakes and rivers and is only a few hours drive from the Puget Sound and Seattle areas. Now, many of you may or may not know, there's a big income gap between Puget Sound wages and reservation wages. The gap can literally be more than $50,000 a year or more. And in the last decade, we've seen an influx of people building homes over here based on Puget Sound area wages, and thus driving up the price of homes for people who have lived here for generations. So someone selling their Seattle area rancher for, say, $500,000 can build a McMansion in our region for that amount. However, a teacher or a nurse or a tribal employee could never in their lifetime support such a purchase, let alone compete with those home prices as a first-time home buyer. We have a massive wage and asset gap that is driving an ever-widening housing gap. And we could not recruit teachers to teach at our school here on the reservation. Our local hospital has got to bus nurses in from out of town because nurses can't afford to buy a home in our area. And the problem was not financing. Oh, working people in our area could obtain financing. Traditional lenders, banks, and credit unions were approving people to purchase homes. The Colville Tribal Credit Facility, which does a lot of home loans, they had a backlog of 20 to 40 pre-approved home buyers. These are all downstream options that were indeed readily available. So what we at the NNDF did not need to add another financing option to the mix. What our region really needed was an upstream solution to our housing crisis. What our people needed was inventory, an inventory of safe and clean home options. And so how do you fix an upstream problem? So in early 2019, the NNDF board decided to take bold action. We would dedicate up to $1 million towards addressing the lack of housing inventory in a two-fronted attack. The first front was to open up the spigot to local handymen and women, to small carpenters, entrepreneurs who wanted to purchase the dilapidated housing that was here and rehab those homes and structures to sell to local residents. And the second front was for the NNDF to take the initiative to build homes ourselves. We would find empty properties and design homes for the first-time home buyers in our area. These would be safe and clean homes that are marketed to individuals who live here. These homes would be priced based on what it cost us to build and not what we could sell them for, say, people looking for retirement homes. So in October of 2019, we took the extraordinary step to purchase a lot in one of the small towns. we began clearing the land. At times, I even left the office and got on top of the excavator myself to help prepare the lot. We shopped and searched and found some adorable little house plants and began building. And again, sometimes even staff of the Nndf showed up to help paint or hang doors. It was like magic. The home was completed in less than 6 months. And then, just about the time we were going to have an open house, the pandemic hit. Literally, the month that we were going to have an open house was the same month that the entire nation went into lockdown. With all of the uncertainty and some of our initial potential buyers losing their jobs, everything goes on hold. Then in the early spring of this year, we opened the Orchard Street home again to the public. And before we could even think about listing with a local realtor, we got a call from a family that had been living with their parents for the past year. They were pre-approved through a VA loan, and their pre-approval fit perfectly with what the asking price was for the Orchard Street house. Now, I don't know how many of you believe in Providence, but I don't know any other way to explain how it all worked out. They were ready to buy another property, only to have that sale pulled out from underneath them when the seller realized that he could sell that home for well beyond what he'd originally advertised for. In fact, I still remember the conversation with this wonderful young couple when they asked me if I was seriously going to sell this home for that price. They were ready for us to change the price on them and increase it. Nope. The answer was no. We're not going to sell it. We're not going to increase the price. We're going to sell it to you for exactly what we said and exactly what we were going to sell it for a year earlier. This was a mission. This was the Nndf mission. This is what the little loan fund that could and would do. So everything worked out. The Nndf covered all of our costs in the sale. A small community got a new family as homeowners in their neighborhood. And of course, this beautiful little family, the Morales family, got their first home. And now, thanks to the folks at OFN and OWISTA and of course, Wells Fargo, this story, this teet what teet will continue. Up until today, this has been our teet what teet. This has been our story. Now, thanks to you folks, this will also be part of your story. This is part of your teet what teet. So again, I just want to say thank you. Kwitsi. Thank you from all of us. Thank you on behalf of the next family that will get another home to live in. And then another. And then another. Thank you.